TYFU.
Yeah, I was almost too grumpy to come to the podcast.
Perish the thought.
I know. But then we had some pie and we had a glass of wine.
Yep.
We did a little chatting.
How's your mood?
It's better than it was. I was mad because I had a podcast meeting to get to.
Right.
And I could not get the customers out of my store.
Oh,
And
God.
I
What a
felt
trial.
taken advantage of. And I know I shouldn't get mad at the customers, but
No, especially if they're going to give you money.
they didn't, though. They didn't. Literally, Marilla, they did not give me money.
Is the worst. Then they're not a customer.
They asked me for a thing. I was like, well, I don't have that exactly, but I have this. And they're like, I don't know, but do you have this? And I'm like, well, I don't have that exactly, but I have this. And then it's like, I'm now 20 minutes late.
Yeah.
And I say, I'm so sorry, but I have a meeting in a few minutes. And I'm not going to be able to stay open any longer. We actually closed 20 minutes ago.
Ooh.
And then the lady part said, but can I just use your bathroom real quick? True story.
No.
True story.
No way.
And then I got grumpy and I was like, no, leave now. I didn't say that exactly. I didn't say it like that.
You said that you
I
have a
said
crocodile in your toilet and you can't.
I said the last guy who used my bathroom.
Oh, and if you don't know what Beth's talking about, you're going to have to go back to episode. Gosh, we have so many now. Soliciting the solicitor.
Yeah, I think it was episode 30. But anyway, came home, had a piece of pie from the Kitchen Witches.
Talk to your podcast pals.
Yep. Had a glass of wine. Talked to you and Kelly. I'm feeling a lot better. How are you feeling?
All is right in the world. I feel great. I was off today.
Oh, yeah.
Which means I did laundry, cleaned my house, bopped into stomping grounds to do a little chatting. And so I feel great. Cool. I feel great. Happy to be here.
And Booty, you can hear, is playing with his toy. He's excited about this evening. He always loves a podcast recording.
Yeah, one of these days we'll show you guys the many phases of Boots' recording process. His creative process during this. Wow, that's great job, Boots.
So do you have any business before we roll into the episode here?
I actually do.
Okay, tell me.
I want people to ask us questions.
About what?
Anything.
Anything. Ask us anything.
Ask us anything. What I want is our listeners to ask us their burning questions, or really anything. How many tablespoons is in a quarter cup? Perhaps.
Why can't Marilla ever wear a whole shirt?
What did Boots do before he started producing TYFU? We want to know what you are wondering about the podcast, because we have a segment coming up that we're very excited about, and we want so many questions that we can't even answer them all.
Yeah, we want to be able to skip some.
Yes, we want to skip the duds. And so that's
Make
my
'em good.
business. Make them good. Make them juicy. Make them steamy if you want. Make them technical. Kelly Walker is also here, and he's a genius. Or make them steamy for Kelly Walker. He's also pretty steamy.
Could ask Kelly Walker about his crushes.
Ooh. Ask us anything. Yes. So for myself, for Bethany, for Kelly, let her rip.
Okay, we'll look forward to hearing what those are. We've already got some submitted, actually, because we've been asking for them. You asked for them on social media, and we had some roll in there. I had a couple of employee submissions.
Ooh.
And that'll maybe be challenging. We'll see.
We do. We already have some in the tank, but we want more. And I know that there are some people that do not follow us on Instagram. Not sure why. But you can email questions to TYFUpod, or you can submit them at tyfupod.com.
Yeah, there's a link on the web page so that people can contact us.
To talk to us?
Yep.
Perfect.
Yep. Lovely messages there.
Incredible. tyfupod.com. Send us your questions.
Okay. And now, a word from our sponsor.
So, Beth,
Yes, Marilla.
I was posting on Instagram, and I have to say, our recording space is just beautiful.
The Red Room Studio?
Yes, you have a way with decorating.
Well, thanks.
Not everybody can do that, but if you're looking for a great location to decorate your space, you should check out Axom Home in Rochester.
Axom.
Axom. It's a destination for modern furniture and accessories to make your home reflect your own unique style.
Furniture?
Axom's got it.
Vases?
Axom's got it.
Vases?
Axom's got it.
Clocks?
They've got it. It's a great place for people with a great sense of design but don't want to pay for a designer.
Find it at Axom in the heart of the South Wedge in Rochester, New York, and online at axomhome.com. Okay, I'm going to rip the envelope this
That
week.
chubby little envelope.
And here we go. And this week's topic is weddings.
Weddings.
Yeah, I know it's weird because I like
Weddings. It does stir something in me, though. Like, what is our part? What is our part in your wedding?
Marilla's and Stomping Grounds?
Sure.
Okay. Well, my part is selling you a wedding card.
Ooh,
Because
cards.
you have traveled to the Finger Lakes to attend a wedding at one of our, I would say, hundreds of wedding venues in
Yes.
the Finger Lakes region.
Yes.
And you have not prepared.
I have not.
You're
I
like,
never have.
I'm just going to stick some cash in an envelope and that's going to be good.
Which is the
But
best.
Wait,
by
I
the
didn't
way.
even buy a card before I left to attend the Finger Lakes wedding. Where can I buy a card? So this is my most frequent contact with people in town for weddings is selling them a greeting card.
It's selling them a card.
Yeah. How do you
Interesting.
interact with wedding attendees or participants?
I interact with almost the registry side. Mm-hmm. So where you are dealing with like wedding guests and people traveling, I am dealing with people coming in and saying, I'm getting married this year and I have a list of all these things that I want from your store that I'm telling my friends and family that, this is what we want. So we do a lot of, not home goods like furniture, but a dish brush or, this and that. People want certain things for their house, like an ethically made broom or,
I've never even thought of that.
dish soap block in a
God.
little soap dish.
You can get all that at Marilla's?
You can get all that
I
stuff
have
at
to stop by
Marilla's.
sometime.
Yeah, so mine I feel like is more like people planning for what they want in their house, or they just got married and they want to zhuzh up their house a little bit,
And hopefully they have a little bit of money to spend.
That's the hope.
To zhuzh.
I make sure to ask them.
Do you have
Do you have
a
any
lot?
money?
Yeah.
Because if you don't,
Then go to Stomping Grounds.
That's right. So yeah, two very different sides of that.
Yeah, so I'm
Coin.
interacting with the guest, and you're interacting with the spouses,
The lovebirds.
the spousei.
Yes, the
the
spouse
spy-
eye?
the
The
spy-
spies? No, incorrect.
That's different. Well, I don't even know. Do you remember how we got the idea to do weddings?
I want to say maybe you were bringing up, I feel like in a very gloating way, that wedding season was coming up and you were about to be rolling in customers and so busy. And I said, wow, must be nice.
Yeah, that's possible.
Could have been. It
Yeah.
sounds like you.
Yeah, it does. I do. When May rolls around, I start thinking like I better stock up on my cards.
Yeah.
But I also do make a little wedding section in the store with
It's adorable.
easy, simple gifts that out of towners can pick up as add-ons to their big check or whatever.
Yeah, it's a whole part of the tourist season for you, which is nothing to sneeze at.
No. I have a person who works for me, Marilla.
What?
Chelsea has worked for me for about a year now, and she has experience both with being a wedding florist, but also being a wedding photographer. And I thought maybe she would be a good guest if you're game to have her on. You already had an employee on
I was going to
this
say,
podcast.
it is your turn to
Yeah.
bring somebody in here. I love that idea. Let's
All right,
do it.
let's introduce her.
Hello,
Chelsea.
Chelsea.
Hey, Chelsea. Hey, Chelsea.
Oh, hey, Chelsea.
Hello.
Welcome to TYFU.
Oh, thank you so much. This I feel a little bit like famous or something sitting
you're
here with you.
About to feel even more famous after your episode drops and people
let's
start
hope not.
asking for your autograph.
That's
and,
right.
Yeah.
Taking photos of you on the street.
That's what happens to us. People just hanging around outside our houses.
Yeah,
And
I see that all the time with Beth at work.
It's nice that you have the bushes out front because it gives people some place to hide. Yeah.
yeah, it's nice to have you here. And I know you and I banged this idea around a little bit at Stomping Grounds that you might be willing to come on to the podcast. And you already gave me like a little preview, a little sneak peek of certain stories that I'm excited to be able to share on the podcast. But let's back up. And can you tell Marilla and I and our listeners how you started getting involved in first wedding photography, right? What was that about?
So my degree is in photography. And when I graduated from college, I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do, as I feel like most grads.
Right. As you should.
Yes. And I was like, well, a really easy way to get into photography is doing commercial stuff like, family photos and all that kind of thing.
Headshots.
And
kind
weddings.
Of establish a portfolio in a way.
Yes. And I feel like I had already kind of been approached by like friends of friends or friends of family, or like, hate to say this, but I feel like when you're a recent grad, people are like, oh, I can get you to do my wedding for like $300.
Yes.
Yeah. Which I did do.
You're the bargain
I
buy.
literally have done a wedding for $300. And looking back, I'm like, wow, that was.
Why would I ever?
That was horrifying.
Because of all that. Let's just start like how much time, all the equipment.
Oh, yeah.
All the post shoot editing.
Multiple
it's just
cameras.
ridiculous.
You need backup batteries. Because
Lighting?
Yep, lighting stuff. You're there the entire day. Normally, they want you there, hair and makeup. You're there the whole wedding day. Then you're there till like 11 p.m. because you're there past the reception.
So long. It just dawned on me that, I can also touch on the fact that I've been a musician for weddings many times.
Yeah.
So we can connect. I'll throw in a couple because that's my biggest thing is when you're there working a wedding, whether you're the photographer or the caterer or whatever, it's like a long day and a half, it feels like.
And then you're not done. Like if you're the photographer, like once you leave, that's what I love about being a floral designer is like when I am done, when I deliver the flowers, like I'm done with that couple.
You're done.
And most of them are lovely. Like it's not like I'm like, oh, I want to be rid of these people, but sometimes.
Right. Here and there.
I mean, you never know.
But when you're photographing, you still have to edit all of those. You have to curate them into a gallery. You have to deliver the gallery. Then you have to make sure they're happy with it.
Oy. Yeah, so if you, God forbid, you do hate the couple or end up hating the couple, you have to be there on their day, but then you have to stare at them for a good couple weeks.
And continue to be in contact with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
So I quickly learned that was something I was not in love with. And I started doing floral design in college. I went to FIT in New York City, and I was an intern at anthropology in Rockefeller Center. But they take on about 40 freelancers during the holiday season. So I met people that did all kinds of stuff. And I met this woman who did some freelance floral design. And she invited me to help her with a wedding in Brooklyn. So that's kind of how I got interested in that. And then I ended up doing it here.
Fun. I think floral design is so cool. It is so tricky and difficult and beautiful all at the same time.
And like half alive.
They're right. You're just working with things that are so finite. But people want them a very certain way. And oh my God.
Sometimes.
You can see why Chelsea was a very appealing candidate for me in terms of, like she knows how to take pictures of things and she knows how to make things look beautiful. She knows how to do staging. She knows how to do arranging. And
so if anyone's wondering why Stomping Grounds windows are putting us all to shame, it's because Beth scooped up Chelsea.
Seriously.
Jeez, thanks, guys.
Well, thank you, Chelsea, for your hard work.
Yeah, thank you for giving us something to look at.
So when did you do your first wedding photo shoot?
probably right after college. So it would have been somewhere around, actually, maybe while I was in college. So probably 2013, 2014.
Did you feel confident going in? Did you know the
No.
couple? No.
And most of the time I knew them, or at least knew them through someone else, because that's how I started booking.
Good old word of mouth.
But no, I feel like I was always scared. Like taking photos of what is potentially the most important day of someone's life is so nerve-wracking, and like tensions are always high. Like
People act weird. People get weird.
yeah, people get so weird.
They get so weird.
People get so weird on their wedding day.
It's true. And that, in that sense, again, from the music perspective, it's that same feeling of like, okay, you know what you're doing. You know the concept of what you're going in to do. Go in, take pictures, or in my case, go in, sing a song.
Well, and that's like a live experience when you're, I mean, both of these things are, but
Right.
like being a musician, like that's also like just currently happening to
Currently
you.
happening, right? And so, like for both of those, it's giving me a little PTSD here. You talking about like it's the most important moment of their life because it's your job to capture that kiss in the moment, and nobody can be in the way. And it's my job to sing this first dance song, and
the
everybody's
first dance.
videotaping. Chelsea's videotaping, and if I mess it up or miss a word, then that is forever their first dance,
Forever captured on film.
forever captured on film. Just awful. The pressure of being a wedding professional is wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wild.
I mean,
would
I
agree.
didn't factor that into the expenses. The $300 also has to cover your therapy and your medication.
And it didn't.
Yeah.
Which is really only 10 minutes of therapy. Yeah, it's a lot of pressure outside all the technicality of like just knowing how to point and click that camera and
Yeah.
get it right.
Yeah, I feel like most wedding vendors would agree with this. You're like at least 30 to 40% a therapist sometimes, depending on like what's going on throughout the day.
You mean reassuring
No,
the,
ma'am.
the parents of the bride,
or
the parents
just
of
like
the groom?
who knows? Like people are drinking, a lot of people are drunk. You're
Oh my
like
God.
herding people like cattle into an area, especially for like a group photograph. Nightmare.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Big families.
Did you always show up by yourself? Did you ever have an assistant? Not that you could have necessarily afforded one, but did
No.
anyone ever take pity on you?
My husband actually. Shout out to Mason.
Shout out to Mason.
Would sometimes he's a creative person as well, and I would sometimes drag him along. He is actually involved in one of the horror stories that I'm going to tell today, so he was a witness.
He was a witness. All right.
Well, before we get into Chelsea's first horror stories of many,
Of many.
I want to just talk about the wedding industry in the Finger Lakes in general. I was curious about it because I see so many people come in for weddings.
Right.
And Chelsea, through your floral work, you do a ton of weddings, right? That's
Yeah.
what's kind of driving force for the most part in the floral business that you assist at. I tried to dig up some statistics, and I want to shout out to one of our sponsors, BID in Geneva, because they helped me
Yes.
dig up a few numbers. And one of the numbers I got was that there are over 200 venues in the Finger Lakes region just for weddings.
That's crazy.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
And it's churning through weddings almost constantly. There are many bookings, and some of them multiple bookings per
weekend. Sometimes it's more. Yeah, sometimes it's more than one a weekend. And I mean, 200 might.
It might be low. Who knows?
Might be low only because I know there's at least 200 wineries, and many of the wineries do weddings.
Not to mention hotels,
Not to mention hotels. So I feel like,
parks.
yeah, there's probably.
Even the Welcome Center, I'm pretty sure you can have
a wedding
I think
there?
you can have a wedding there.
Yeah, so I wonder even how many of those like venues are just specifically a wedding venue, and then is it even counting all the places that you could have a wedding in the Finger Lakes? You know,
So let's say that if there's a couple thousand weddings happening, which there must be, a
Must
couple
be.
thousand weddings happening,
sure.
and I don't know what the average wedding costs these days.
Oh, yeah. I could give you a
do?
ballpark probably.
What do you think? Let's take
Chelsea's
a stab
going to be
at
way
it.
better at this.
Yeah, we can always edit it out.
throw a dart. I was just going to confidently throw a dart. I say the average wedding costs between $30,000 and $50,000.
I think you're close. I would say even going upwards of 80, depending
What?
on. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Depending on the venue,
I feel
because you have to think about like the food. The food is a huge cost. I would say that's like one of the biggest costs. But some places everything is a la carte. So it's like if you rent the space, you're spending maybe $10,000, and it's only for use of the building, and then you have to add everything on.
Add everything. And then again, coming from a music side, I mean, you can spend $3,000 to $5,000 if you want a live band, and that's probably
There's gonna
reasonable.
be some kind of music,
Right.
And the flowers, the cake,
The photographer,
the photographer,
the videographer,
the
Linens.
clothes, the linens,
Chairs.
Yes.
If it's not included, sometimes it's not.
Do you count your rehearsal dinner and stuff like that?
Oh yeah.
Gifts
Gifts?
for the
Wedding party?
yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, it adds up.
It's got to be crazy. And if you think about all that, like coming into the region, it's an important economic driver.
Oh, yeah.
And that doesn't even count all the wedding guests and their accommodation
Right.
and the shopping they might do while they're in town and the eating and drinking they might do while they're in town.
Right.
It's got to be just an extraordinary number when we add it all
we're
up.
talking millions.
Well, we don't do math on this show.
we don't. So we'll just throw out millions. Millions of dollars
I would
is
think.
being injected every year into this area. Huge.
So it's nothing to sneeze at.
I won't. I won't do it.
Yeah, so we know some people who have wedding venues, certainly. And, when people come into the store, I always get curious. They'll mention they're in town for a wedding. Sometimes they're buying a card, and that's a dead giveaway. So I'll ask, where's the wedding going to be? Where are they staying? It's interesting to engage with weddings on so frequently.
It is. I feel like a little bit of a creep. Just yesterday, someone was in my store and they were like, "Oh yeah, we've got a wedding this weekend. It's like out in Penyan." And just like when people ask me where to eat and I get super weird about it, I was just like, "Oh, Crispin Hill, perhaps."
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, we work at Crispin Hill a lot. Shout out, we love them.
Shout out,
you guys
Crispin
are
Hill.
great.
But yeah, I get like, we know some people that have venues. So when someone's like, "Oh yeah, I'm getting married in Watkins Glen. I'm getting married in Penyan," I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I bet I know where." So yeah, there's a lot of wedding stuff happening here.
Here's why I'm a jerk. We're going to find out again. Another reason why I'm a jerk. I'm going to share it on the podcast.
All right.
Well, yeah, Kelly records it. So, anyways, I had a bachelorette party in this week. Sometimes, this gaggle of 15 to 20 women will come in the store. And you can tell oftentimes, I think you'll agree, Chelsea, you can spot them by the fact that one of them is wearing a bride T-shirt or a veil. Or, this week I had somebody in with one of those, like, what is it called? Sash. A sash. That says bride.
Yes.
And you can tell that, they're just waiting for you to say, "Oh, congratulations." And I'm just like, no.
I know.
I won't
It's
even
my favorite
acknowledge
thing
it.
about you, to be honest.
It's just the nastiness, the pure nastiness, the mean-spiritedness.
I love it. And when we'll be...
Do you say congratulations, Marilla, when you see a bride?
Honestly, it depends. If we're gigging and things are kind of slow and a parade of bridal enthusiasm walks by and things are kind of quiet, then me and my sister is going to be like, "Oh my God, are you getting married?" But if we didn't have to, we probably would just choose to let that pass. Mm-hmm. We've had, there are moments where it's better not to acknowledge, and you use it. If it's going to make a sale, then sure, why not? That's what I say.
It's a toxic trait of mine. I love it.
You do?
I can't not.
Well, you're
It's
so
like,
cute, Chelsea. It drives me right up the wall.
So wholesome.
So nice.
So wholesome.
It's
Yeah.
like I can't help myself.
Whereas I'm over here like, I say hi if it's going to make me money.
And I'm like, I never say hi.
Chelsea's like, I genuinely enjoy people. Okay, great. That's
No,
why
you should
that's
see
why you're
Chelsea
here.
in the store, though. She's great. She really is so sweet with people.
Wow.
I believe
You're
it.
too
Yeah.
nice.
I believe it. So yeah. But sometimes it's like I don't know. I don't want to get into any horror stories that overshadow your horror stories, but like
It'd be hard to do.
I don't think it would. I don't think it would.
Probably not, actually. You're there late in the night.
Oh,
whereas for
Chelsea.
flowers, I'm not there anymore, thank
That's
goodness.
true. That's true. We had one, we were playing a gig and it was definitely a bachelorette weekend that was happening, I believe. Or just
Like you were
married.
downtown and there was a gaggle? Or
No, we were at a brewery.
okay.
And there was a gaggle of gals that came up. And this was back during COVID time when you weren't supposed to dance. Remember that?
Oh, what a
When
fun
you
time.
weren't supposed to like dance, stand up and dance with anybody. We were in that phase, but we were outdoors. And these girls had been drinking for hours. Clearly it was a wedding thing. And we were like, nobody asked them. They were loud. They were having a great time. We were like, we don't need to amp this up by asking them. And they danced the night away. We started playing this song. I believe it was Natural Woman. And this one girl who just
Of course it was Natural Woman.
Of course it was
Of course it
Natural
was.
Woman. This one girl kept getting up to dance. And the staff kept coming over and saying, ma'am, you can't stand up and dance. I'm so sorry. She was so wasted. She would get up every time. And so then we started doing this song. She gets up and dances. She starts doing like the Running Man.
A classic.
Spills her drink on the concrete floor, is doing the Running Man, slips and falls face down.
Oh, no.
She was so drunk, she was fine. Face down, hits the concrete. Everyone gasps, including us. We're like, oh my God, that's the end of the show. And this trooper, she starts doing the worm.
Amazing.
Doing the worm, and she worms herself right out of that puddle of drink, and continues on with her night.
Wow. How else can you exit, really?
You really can. It was the most graceful move I've ever seen from a very not grateful situation. But they were wild, and we never even brought it up. Never even brought it up. So in that situation, we just tried to survive and watched it unfold. I hope she's okay. If you're listening,
a happily married person.
if you're
for
listening,
these past 4 years,
I hope that was a great night
maybe
for you.
she doesn't remember. She wouldn't recognize her.
No,
Concussion, perhaps.
yeah,
Concussion.
probably. But yeah, that's why we pick and choose who we acknowledge.
Yeah. Eventually, Chelsea, you moved from wedding photography into floral design, and I think you worked for yourself for a little bit, and then you decided that you'd prefer to work for someone else. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. I opened my own business doing floral design in 2015. And I soon learned that I would much rather work for someone else because, oh my gosh, as you
there's
both
perks.
know, owning your own business is an insane
much.
thing. And
It is. Who would do that?
I don't know.
Boy.
And
Go on.
yeah, I just found it super overwhelming. I was not at the point where I could pay anyone to help me. And I was like, you know what? I don't think this stress is worth it. And I think I'm the type of person that thrives really working for someone else. So
I think that often myself.
Yeah. Seriously, someone tell us what to do. Please.
I'll send you a resume.
Someone other than the IRS.
So then you left it. You had a couple of other jobs
Yeah.
in the in between time, but you continued to help. You had contacts in the wedding industry, and you continued
I've
to
been
moonlight,
doing
right?
freelance. Sorry, I feel like I interrupted you. there.
No. Go ahead.
I've been doing freelance floral design on top of other jobs probably for the last 10 years. So almost consistently. There might have been a year where I didn't, but
Took a break from the brides.
yeah.
A
You ever
breather.
see photographers at the weddings, and now that you're a floral designer, you see these photographers, and you're like, sucker.
I definitely feel bad for for them. I've made friends with quite a few of them, actually, because, you see people out and about, and our friends who photographed our wedding, who are amazing, we chat with them all the time. So
you kind of have a little pinky in that pie.
yeah.
So speaking of horror stories, you told me about one when you told me about a couple, but one that really sticks with me, if you will, is the one about the fish hook.
I knew. I knew that was going to be the one.
About the fish hook.
This is a hard listen.
Yeah.
I'll try not to be too graphic.
No, don't try. What do we have on this podcast? What rating do we have?
Rated R.
Yeah.
Exactly. Explicit. Just get in there. Let's hear it.
So this was when I was still photographing weddings. And I had booked this wedding at a lake venue.
Oh, boy.
I don't even know. It wasn't even around here, actually. It was further away. This might have even been Buffalo. Not that information matters.
Lake somewhere.
Somewhere.
There's a big lake in Buffalo, I think. Yeah.
A body of water.
Mason got dragged along with me, my husband, boyfriend at the time, to help me as a second shooter. And so everything was going fine. We did the ceremony. I think we even got past cocktails. This must have been during the reception.
Okay.
So
All the hard stuff is over at this point.
yes, well, until this happened.
Okay. All right. You thought you were like scot-free
Yeah,
at this
I thought
point.
we were doing really well.
Yeah.
And so, everyone's had quite a few drinks at this point.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. The bride has quite a few siblings, and one of her brothers has somehow acquired a fishing pole from his car
Oh, my God.
and has decided that he wants to fish on the lake during the wedding reception.
If my brother... Oh, my God.
Brought a fishing pole to your wedding.
Next time I get married.
Next time I get married, when I divorce Joe and remarry him, if anyone brings a fishing pole, it's over. Okay,
Yeah,
so
not
now a fishing
ideal.
pole is here.
Yeah, a fishing pole is here at the wedding, and he's fishing. Some of the groomsmen are standing around, and the bride's sister, also his sister, is standing kind of behind him. And so he goes back to cast, and the cast is just in the right spot, and it hits her in between the bridge of her nose, and then he pulls. Like he yanks it.
Oh, my
And
God.
she's screaming, everyone's screaming.
Wait. Is this the bride or the bride's
No,
sister?
the bride's sister.
Oh, my God.
Has a fish hook in between the bridge of her nose. And she's so lucky because if she had turned a second too late, it would have been in her eye. So someone calls 911.
Imagine.
I can't. I think she's fine. I've seen her since.
I feel like that would...
Does she have a scar?
I don't think so, actually.
Did you look really
shockingly.
Did you interrogate her about this
I
traumatic
didn't
moment?
get super close to her face.
We're skipping ahead. So somebody calls 911.
Yes, but everyone is. So people are also drunk though. So everyone's
Oh my
screaming.
God.
We think someone has died.
Oh, my God.
So the ambulance gets there, and Mason and I are like, "What do we do? Do we stop? Are we done for the night? Surely we're done for the night."
Right.
They asked us to stay. They were like, "Well, we're moving on. Send her out in the ambulance."
We're moving on. We lost one, but the party goes on. That's pretty good statistics, right? You just lose
Well,
one.
there's a lot of siblings.
There's a lot
Chelsea
of
already said.
siblings.
Yeah.
Exactly. Lose one. Come on, just fill it in with the next one in line.
Bring a cousin in or
Bring
something.
a cousin in. I'm sure the dress would fit somebody else.
But wait a sec. So did you feel like you should document the accident?
So I didn't want to, but some of her family members were like, "This is hilarious. We should." And I was
my
like,
God.
"I'm not taking photos of this." I don't think I did.
Yeah,
I
but
actually
did
think this
you?
wedding is still in my cloud, in my drive. I don't think I did, but
Dun dun. I know.
We just
Beth just looked at each
blurred
other.
their faces.
We couldn't put it on social media.
if you subscribe to
not.
our Patreon,
Yes. Write that down. Oh my God. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can totally. You know what's bad is coming from a very large family myself. I can 1,000% visualize the vibe of this. 1,000%. This feels too real and it's too probable.
Oh, it happens,
Oh my
dude.
God.
It's more than just probable. It's a true
Oh,
story.
I know.
It's
Like,
crazy.
I can just
true.
feel the scenario as it unfolds. Oh my God. Was it bloody?
I don't remember.
Did
I
you
don't
look?
I feel like I was trying not to look. I'm kind of squeamish, to be honest.
Yeah, what they didn't need was the bride's sister fish hooked and the photographer passed out.
Yes.
Wow. How were the vibes after that? Did the party pick right up again?
I feel like it kind of did. Like people definitely still
Wow.
danced after that.
Hell yeah.
It might have been a little more
Resilient.
What a
melancholy.
resilient family.
Yeah.
I know.
Patriots.
Dude.
Yeah.
That's no joke. That's
Yeah.
no joke. A
That's
fish
probably
hook
the
is
worst
no
one.
joke.
So you have said, and both of you have actually said now that drunkenness is a factor at weddings.
Always.
Oh boy. Boy. Howdy.
Almost always.
Do people love to get, what's our rating? Explicit? Fucked up at weddings. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
I'm not going to lie. I will have a drink at a wedding.
Oh, yeah.
Most
Devil.
of us will have a cocktail.
I mean, we had an open bar at ours.
I know,
so-
the open bar, that's what does it.
Yeah, it's the open bar.
unlimited kind of situation.
Yeah, listen, drinking is expensive. If you can get out there and get a few cocktails for free, you might as well. And weddings are expensive. You might as well.
Yeah. Chelsea, you told me, though, that at one wedding that I think it was, you were photographing it, people were drunk before the...
Many times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before the
Oh,
ceremony?
yeah. I had this group of groomsmen and the groom that were pretty wasted. Like, we were supposed to take pictures before the ceremony and they were already obliterated. And they were peeing in front of me. Like, we were in an open, grassy area
my
and they
God.
weren't even like trying to go in a bush. It was just
no.
like, I'm going to pee right here. And I was like, oh,
outside.
okay, I'm facing you.
With a camera.
Yeah.
What you should have done was just, start emasculating them in that moment. I mean, if they're going to put it out there,
Yeah,
you might as
true.
well give a commentary.
True.
Oh,
I
man.
wish I had.
Man, maybe
Yeah.
next time. Maybe next time you have some men pee in front of
Hope it's never again.
Yeah,
But no shame is what you're saying. Just like
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think I'd call the wedding off.
What, like Joe and his
if my
groomsmen were out
groom
there.
was absolutely obliterated, I'd be like, you know
know.
what? Rain date.
I know. I felt that way too. I was looking at her like, are you sure?
Yeah. Is this the one you want?
There's still time.
We've seen the movies. Oh boy. Yeah, that's rough times.
You got any drunkens that stand out for you,
You know,
Marilla?
I wasn't thinking that I did. But I actually have my own personal story where I over imbibed at a wedding.
Oh.
No, really?
Yes. Could you believe it? I was 8 years old. And
That's when you
Wait a
started
second.
smoking Camel Lights, you said on a different episode.
I know. Listen,
Yeah.
I had a torrid past. I was 8 years old. I was at my cousin's wedding. It happened to be at a winery. And I had, and this is not even a joke, I had one too many Shirley Temples. And my grandfather introduced me to Shirley Temples. And I had so many that I threw up
Oh.
at her wedding. So that was the last time I really
no.
let loose at someone's wedding.
Hard lesson, wasn't it,
Hard
Marilla?
lesson learned. Yeah, it really just, and I had to leave early.
You've never been able to keep a Shirley Temple down since, right?
Able to keep a
That's-
Shirley
yeah.
Temple down since.
Me and Long Island iced tea.
Yep. That was the last time I threw up at a wedding. Yep.
You were telling me, Chelsea, about the garbage
Oh,
bag
yeah.
situation. though.
That's what I just thought of.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is so gross. This is not my personal
Fish
experience.
hooks, peeing, garbage bags. What a romantic life you lead, Chelsea.
I know. It really is.
Weddings are so elegant and
It's a
sophisticated.
fairy tale. Go on.
So this isn't my story. This is another vendor that I had been chatting with at
Bring it on. We'll shout them out.
a venue coordinator at, I will not name the venue, but she was talking about drunk people and said they had a wedding guest. This woman had thrown up so much on herself, everywhere, all over the floor, that they had to put an industrial-sized black garbage bag with a hole over her head to get her out of the venue, because they were like, we couldn't have her touching anything. Like, she was a mess.
My God.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Escorted out.
resourceful.
Yeah. Smart thinking.
What a problem-solving team.
I know.
That's
poor
how I
woman.
went out too, in a
black garbage
bag. Yep, and they just rolled me into the back of the car. And that was it.
Do you look forward to playing weddings, Marilla? Can I even ask that question? Because I know
Yes,
you.
you know what?
Yeah.
You can ask that question, because we are not playing any more weddings after this year.
Really?
Ever.
We put the kibosh
Good for
on it this
you.
year, because they're so. This makes me sound like such a bad person. They're so awful.
I know. I just said good for you as a wedding vendor myself.
But you understand.
You guys are yelling at me for not saying congratulations.
Yeah, no, I
to
know.
It's
to
true.
the
We're
bride.
the real assholes. And
Yeah.
it's really spoiled anyone's wedding for me. And I'm just going to say that because I have one wedding to attend this coming year, and she knows I feel this way. It's spoiled weddings just in general for me. When you play a wedding, you have to learn all this special music. They want you to play The Lion Sleeps Tonight. They want you to play Ben Folds. They want you to play
Hokey
Taylor
Pokey.
Swift, the Hokey Pokey, you name it. And you have to have all these rehearsals leading up, hours and hours and hours of time leading up to it, to learn their special song that they want for their special dances, because they don't want to just play it by the person who wrote it originally. And then you have to worry about whether they're even going to like your version, because it's like, oh, okay, so we're a jazz band and you want us to play Landslide by Fleetwood Mac. Roger that. That's not going to sound the
Add in
same.
some scatting.
Put a little saxophone on that number. And we've never had any complaints because we're wildly talented, but there's the nerves of like, okay, they're never going to, you don't like show it to them before the day of.
Right.
You don't like give them a little preview. You just say, okay, got it, and let it rip for their first dance and hope that they like it.
You've never had someone ask like for a preview?
No.
We get that sometimes with
Right,
flowers.
with makeup,
They
with
want
flowers,
like a trial of their bouquet.
with hair.
We've stopped doing it because it just like opens up too much area for critique, and flowers are like, you can only get certain things in certain times of year.
Certain times of year. Right. And so it's very common to preview all kinds of other pieces of the wedding, the menu, the hair, the makeup, the flowers. Not the music. I mean, they know what band they're hiring, but if they want the band to learn a specific song, you've got a friend in me, you don't know how it's going to sound. So that's stressful. And then you have to show up before the wedding starts so that you can be all set up. And then you're there for 5 hours. And then everybody's drunk and they want to hear the cha-cha slide no matter what band you are. We have had a couple weddings. The last wedding that we booked was actually the most pleasant wedding we've ever done. They loved the music. We got to play our own songs. The bride and groom have followed us for a long time, so they just really wanted to hire the band for
That's
a gig.
nice.
And that was great. But for 99% of the weddings we play have been awful. And one time they hired us for a cocktail hour. We set up, takes about an hour to set up all the stuff. No one's there. No one's there. No one is there. The wedding planner comes down and they're like, yeah, they haven't started the ceremony yet. We were like looking at our watches. We had another place to be after this. It was a cocktail hour. It was 1 hour. Like, we had more stuff to do that day. So no one is there. And we just kind of look around and say, I guess we just have to start playing. So we just played music for an hour. And the last song that we played, the wedding party and the whole guest list started coming down the hill. And we were like, okay, well, thanks for having us. Congratulations.
Oh, wow.
We had to leave.
I mean, that's all you can do if you've got a scheduled contract and a scheduled time.
But like, that's a classic wedding thing where you're just, the expectation is to just be flexible and be there all day. And just have a blast. And they were very sweet, and we still got paid, and there was no bones made about it, but it was so awkward and a perfect example of why weddings can be the worst, just the worst. Also, nobody really claps at cocktail hours. Like, nobody really cares
They're
either.
not even paying attention.
So it's like they're not even paying attention.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have live music at your wedding. But if it's not people that really appreciate live music, don't waste the money on it, because they're going to get the same vibe if you just play Nat King Cole Spotify.
That is so true.
You know? So there's a little tip from the musician side of the wedding world.
Yeah.
But yeah, we hate them.
Chelsea, you told me that this idea that bridezillas are always a problem is actually not your experience.
It's the groom.
Yeah.
I've actually had more problems with grooms than I have brides. I don't know if that's just
I love that.
a weird thing that's happened to me, but yeah, I've had a few groomzillas.
That tickles my female heart. I love that.
We're always getting a bad rap.
We're always getting
I know.
that. People are always picking on us. It's the grooms.
Yeah.
What was the worst?
Probably, I told this story to Beth and I said, this is the only time I've lost it on someone, which
right.
is very unlike me. Like,
Yes, I can't picture that.
I'm telling you, Chelsea
maybe
is
I can.
a genuinely nice person and very patient. I've seen it.
Ooh, I love to see those people
I try to be.
tear a new one, though.
So
But
it was
something must have triggered her, because this never happens.
Yeah. Well, I try not to let it happen ever, but it was peak COVID wedding season. And we
stressful.
did 80. We did 80 weddings because we had all of the postponements.
Right.
And I think when we added it up, between June and November of 2021, we did 80.
And what's a normal season?
Like at least half that.
Ooh.
Probably.
You're just playing catch up from
Absolutely
Yeah.
brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal.
So it was 2021, and this couple had already been married. So they had
A lot of those, yeah.
they had a small wedding that we had already done, and then this was just their celebration. So we were essentially doing the same flowers that they had
For their wedding.
Yeah, that's what they ordered.
Keeping it. Okay.
And so my boss and I would sometimes split up from each other, especially during 2021, because we had so many weddings. I would go deliver one and she would do the other. So I had the work order, and we always have a very specific work order with us. It lists every single thing that's been
Right,
ordered,
right.
the cost, just to cover yourself.
Yada,
you know?
yada. Yeah, the receipts.
And so I get there, and the groom and the groomsmen get there before the bride and the bridal party. And of course, they've been drinking.
Of course. We love
Yep.
that.
Again, another
Love it.
kind of tipsy bridal party. So the groom comes up to me and he's kind of looking at the flowers that I have out, and he goes, they had these 2 wine barrel arrangements, because everyone in the Finger Lakes loves a wine barrel arrangement.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's looking at them and he goes, "Are these for us?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah."
Yeah. No, those are mine, actually.
Yeah, actually, I just made some extras.
I
to
just
take
brought
home.
those. I just wanted to show you.
And I'm like, "Yes, yep, these are yours." And he goes, "Well, we ordered flowers for an arbor." And I'm
Oh, my
looking
God.
at his order and I'm like, "Nope, you didn't." I'm like, "I have it in writing right here. It's 2 wine barrel arrangements for your ceremony. That's it." And he's insistent upon the fact that they ordered an arbor. He asks me if I can take them apart and make him an arbor out of.
God.
Yeah, let's just Tio. Let's pretend for a second that you did make a mistake, which you didn't.
Right.
But let's pretend that
All right.
you did.
I
How
hate
are you
pretending
supposed to correct that in
In the moment.
the moment?
You couldn't.
Right, you
it
couldn't.
would look horrendous. Like the amount of flowers that go into an arbor versus
Oh.
arrangements is so much more.
buckets.
Yeah. And it would have looked, I wouldn't have even had the right mechanics to put it together. It would have looked ridiculous. So I told him that. Then he insists, "Well, I want to talk to your boss." And I'm like,
Oy.
"Okay."
And Chelsea goes, "This is why I don't own my own business."
I know, right?
Here's her phone number.
Although I'm like cringing anytime I have to do that. I'm
Right,
like, "Ugh."
right.
So I'm like, "Okay, sure." Meanwhile, my boss is out delivering another wedding. and
Right. To
probably-
another drunk groomsman.
Yeah, running around. So he calls her and she confirms exactly what I said. No, this is your order.
She talks to him though on the phone.
She does.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does. And so he finally lets it go, but is basically like, when my wife gets here, if she's mad, like,
Oh my God.
it's not going to be good. It's not going to be pretty. And I'm like, okay, well,
I'm
we'll
going to be
just-
gone.
Yeah, we'll see when she gets here. And so he walks away and I start pinning boutonnieres because I'm like, just get me out of here.
Right.
So one of his groomsmen is clearly embarrassed by his behavior. And
I love that.
he says, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm really embarrassed by this. And I looked at him and I said, you know what? I don't think about you ever again when I go home. So I said, it's okay. Or it was something like that. Something like, I don't
love
think about
that.
you when I sleep at night or something.
Yep. I sleep like a baby, my friend.
Yeah.
I'll forget your face.
So not my best moment, but I was just over it.
Wait a second,
Or
hold
your
a
best
second.
moment, Chelsea.
But also, Chelsea, that's not that bad.
Yeah.
No.
Like, you didn't go off on them. You didn't, like, you
Yeah.
were not rude.
Ooh,
You
I love
felt
that.
rude, maybe,
It was,
because you
Maybe a
weren't
little
nice.
rude. Maybe
but-
my tone was.
it was demure. It was
mindful.
mindful. It was cutesy, as the
Sir.
kids say.
I'm not going to think about you later.
You're forgettable. I love telling a man he's forgettable.
Oh, same.
Ooh, we need to do that more in our stores, Beth.
Oh, can
I
you
will
imagine?
forget you.
I wish it was true, though, because I don't.
I know
I
you
do
don't.
think about them later.
Oh, my
yeah,
God.
that's not my superpower, is not forgetting about unpleasant interactions
mean-
with unreasonable customers.
We all have our strengths and weaknesses.
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
But anyway, the bride got there, right, Chelsea?
Yeah, and she was like, "Oh yeah, that's what we ordered."
A dream. What a woman.
Like, of
She
course,
knew.
Of course, she knew what she ordered. Like,
Of course.
yeah, she goes, "Yeah, that's exactly what I was looking for." I'm like, "All right, see ya."
Unproblematic queen.
But the groom never apologized to you.
No, not at all.
No.
yeah.
I wonder if she's realized now that she's married the wrong person.
I know.
She should have married Chelsea.
Maybe she should have married the apologetic groomsman.
Oh, plot twist.
Plot
Yes.
twist.
That is a movie,
Maybe
probably.
they're married right now. That's how I'm going to end this story.
Yeah, they probably are
yeah.
married now. It's 2024.
We talk about that a lot, actually. Like, this is horrible. Maybe I shouldn't even say this.
Just say it.
But I'm
we
like,
can edit it out.
what do you think? Like the number of our brides are that
That
end up in a divorce, or like, you know, if we work with a difficult couple, we're like, that'll be interesting to see in like a year.
Yeah. God. And I mean, do you notice that the more problem couples, the more money is spent on those weddings?
Oh,
Like, I've
interesting.
always wondered if
Interesting.
some of those like really huge flashy weddings are the strongest couples, or if there's any kind of correlation there.
No, you nailed it, Marilla. I hate to say it.
Insightful. Insightful.
Not
The poors
always.
win again.
The peasants. I hate to say it, and it's not always true. Like,
Right, of course.
But I would say, like, yeah, maybe 70 to 80% of the time, the more someone spends, maybe the little bit more difficult they are to deal with.
My wedding was very affordable.
I mean, we've had some people that spent a ton that were lovely and they trusted us.
Oh, of
and they were
course.
like, we know you guys will do exactly what we want. And it was not a problem. But
And with those people, we can only be jealous of them.
I know.
I know.
Beautiful, nice, rich people.
wealthy, wonderful people.
The flowers are very expensive. I mean, in
very.
general.
Yeah.
And for a variety of reasons. First of all, there is a lot of labor that goes into putting them together. They're perishable. Now, can you comment, I'm curious about sustainable flowers, because I know there's a movement there.
is a
Do you know
push.
anything
Yeah,
about
There is a
that?
push.
Yeah, this is something we struggle with, I feel like, because we try to, whenever is possible, we try to use local flowers, but you have a short timeline of when those are available throughout the year. And also just certain things aren't really grown a ton around here.
Right. So what's on your Pinterest board might not be native
Yeah.
to New York State,
Like
or
roses,
where
for
you
example.
are.
There's
Right.
not like a ton of rose growers in the area.
Right.
So a lot of those are imported.
Yeah. And Sonnenberg Gardens in Canandaigua really hates it when you go in and cut all their roses down. I speak from experience.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
That's a no-no.
That's a no-no.
Yeah.
Well, are there any other highlights, Chelsea, about your years in the wedding industry that you would like to share with us? Maybe some.
Let me look. I did make a little list.
Ooh, I love a
She
list.
must work
Just
at
to-
Beth's store. Look at this. A list and a list. I'm
maybe
the odd
I should
man out.
say something nice, actually, because
I
I,
was
feel
gonna
like
ask you, like, do you have any that warm your heart? I mean, like I said, our last wedding that we'll ever do in the whole world was a very, very wonderful experience, and I like to keep that in my heart. Like, they liked us, they listened to us, and they had a little photo booth. It was a lot of fun.
Aw.
So yeah, I like to hold on to that good memory so that I don't just become an old bitter woman who hates weddings.
I know, same. We definitely have. I would say that 9 times out of 10, our brides are lovely. Like these stories that
that's
I'm
good.
telling today are the minority, definitely.
That's
Most
good.
people are so happy on that day, and they love everything, and they trust us. And
Ooh,
I don't know
love
if
it.
I can think of. I'm sure there is one if I were to rack my brain, but anytime someone sends us a thank you note or a tip, like tipping your wedding vendors is so nice.
Tipping is
We don't
so nice.
expect it. I'm
Right.
sure you don't either, but when they do, it's just that extra little.
There's nothing better than that because, I mean, I don't know how you guys do with the flowers and the photography, but quite often you'll play a wedding and you're there for 5-7 hours, whatever the amount of time is, and you think to yourself, gee, how much am I making an hour today?
I hate that question.
I hate that question because a lot of times I'm making much less than what even our government considers
Yeah.
to be fair.
Legal.
Or legal.
Yeah.
Because I only thought about the 3 hours that we were going to be playing or doing our thing. So when someone comes up with a tip at the end of the night out of the kindness of their heart, not only is it just so heartwarming, but it's also like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God someone is looking out for me.
Because I'm not looking out for myself, clearly. Yeah.
Myself.
Exactly.
Right. It's hard to charge what it actually costs, even if you are charging what it costs.
Yes.
It's still
Yeah.
hard to do it.
And we definitely do. Like, we definitely are very realistic with, how long it's going to take us to deliver something and charging appropriately for that. But I feel like it's been a learning curve over the years. Like, I don't feel like it's always probably been like that. Like,
Right.
We know, Chelsea, that when you started in photography, you were undercharging.
Oh, a
Do you feel
lot.
like when you worked for yourself in floral design, you also made the mistake of undercharging?
I'm sure probably, especially because I opened in like where I grew up in my local community.
Right.
So I knew a lot of the people coming through the door.
They're like, God, they only make this much money. Da, 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 da. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure that I was.
Yeah. It's tough. So those tips, yeah. If you can, tip your vendors. Tip them all.
Yeah. All you nice, beautiful, rich people out there, tip your wedding vendor.
Right. And then give them a little kiss on the forehead.
Ooh, maybe not.
All right. Maybe
Pat
not.
on the, oh, okay. No,
Only if
no.
you're very nice and
Maybe.
don't make it weird. What do you think, Beth?
Well, I think we've learned a lot. I think before we sat down to do this episode, I never really calculated or tried to even estimate how much economic strength, I guess, that weddings bring to the Finger Lakes.
Yeah.
I'm sure they help keep wineries afloat. I'm sure they help keep hotels open and other small venues. Like, I'm sure they're filling buildings that might otherwise be left in disrepair.
Right. Right.
So I think probably there's a lot of that kind of like hidden momentum that comes into our region, not just from the wineries and the tourism in general, but specifically for weddings. And probably we ought to be kind of grateful for it.
I guess.
Yeah.
Still hate them though. But also to piggyback off of that statement, I mean, how many guests have come to a wedding in the Finger Lakes and then thought, "Oh my God,
I
we
want a
have to come
vacation
back
here."
here for a weekend"? I know that I would.
Yeah.
So it's the gift that keeps on giving. in
Yeah.
a
So the
sense.
bars and the restaurants and the small shops
Right.
just in the hotels continually benefit from
Right.
them in ways that probably can't be 100% quantified.
Right. It's an interesting force in the small business world, depending on what your small business is, to factor in.
Yep. Well, Chelsea, how was it being on the podcast? I always like to ask our guests what the experience has been like, and they always say wonderful.
No pressure.
No
I
pressure.
hated it. No, this was awesome. It was really fun.
You barely cleared your throat.
Yeah, I know. I was worried
I'm
about
very
that.
proud of you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming. Thank you for telling us horror stories about weddings.
You're so welcome.
And I've got some stuff to chew on for when I remarry.
Where did you get married, Marilla?
I got married at a winery. I got married at a place that doesn't exist anymore.
Where did you get married, Chelsea?
I actually got married at an Airbnb in the Adirondack Mountains.
Oh.
Yeah, we did.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You left the
A
Finger
little
Lakes.
destination situation. Ooh.
It was beautiful.
What time of year?
July.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. What about you, Beth?
I got married at a church.
Ooh, classic.
Yeah.
Classic.
And I had the reception at Warfields in Clifton Spring.
Really?
Warfields?
I didn't know
That
that.
is a very fancy place.
Nothing but the best.
They have very good food. Very good
That's
food.
true. Warfields is famously fancy in the Phelps and Clifton Spring area.
Oh, definitely.
Right?
Yes. As a person who lives in the Phelps Clifton
Right.
area, it's definitely a fanciest
Anybody
place.
who's anybody goes to Warfields. I didn't realize Beth was so well to do. Interesting.
All right. Well, thank you, Chelsea, for being here. It was a pleasure to see you after you worked in my story earlier, and then you did some
Incredibly
more
brave.
work after work.
Incredibly
But, yeah.
brave of you to come here after that long day.
It was lovely to be here. Thank you.
And now, a word from our sponsor.
Some of the best feedback we receive at TYFU is from small business owners who say, I'm glad to hear that I'm not alone.
In Geneva, small business owners are never alone.
The Geneva Business Improvement District is your partner.
BID works to increase foot traffic for downtown businesses with marketing and promotion.
BID also hosts events to draw customers and keeps downtown beautiful so they'll stay.
Want to learn more? Visit BID today at genevadowntown.com.
The time has come for a 5-star review.
Exciting.
Riveting.
I love our 5-star reviews, though. I mean, it's a great way to just introduce our listeners to businesses that they might not know about, or if they do know about them, a great way for them to feel like rah-rah and excited with us.
That's true. And in fact, speaking of introducing our listeners to new businesses, we have made a command decision to switch up the way we do this, right?
You're going to be introducing me to something,
That's
and I'm
right.
going to, hopefully in the future, introduce you to some things.
Yes. For a while, we had this system where we would only 5-star review a business if we had been there holding hands, enjoying ourselves together. But we have too many businesses that we want to tell each other about and you guys about. So we're going to cut that shit out.
Yeah, we've changed the rules. It can now be that I can tell you about something or you can tell me about something, and let's go. What are you going to tell me about? I'm so excited.
I would like to give a 5-star review to a place called Happy Earth Tea in Rochester, New York, in the South Wedge, where my store is located. I have this lovely tea shop, kitty corner from us. Is that how you say that?
Caddy?
Caddy corner?
I don't know. I think it's a regional thing, like stamping grounds or
All right.
stomping grounds. Okay.
Anyway, inside this shop, you will find every kind of tea you can imagine. The walls are just full of tea and trinkets.
Tea trinkets?
Tea trinkets. No. Tea and trinkets. And in addition to being able to purchase tea, you can also sit down at their bar or little tables that they have set up and have a cup of tea, try the tea before you buy the tea.
Like
You
a tea flight in a
You
way?
can do a tea flight.
Oh, wow.
You can have, they usually have a little like cake available. So you could have tea and a slice of cake. And they also have a nice selection of books and gifts.
What?
Yeah.
This is way more than just a tea shop.
I know. So Niraj, the owner, does a wonderful job of curating this beautiful, cute shop that you can go into, meet a friend. You can also get a gift. And you can also get your tea. And I believe he travels around to different areas of the world where they source their teas from. He has personal relationships with tea people. So I would give them 5 stars 5 times because they are such a pleasant place to work. The staff is so sweet and nice, and we frequent each other's stores because we like each other so much.
Cool. Well, thank you for telling me about that, Marilla. If I ever actually go to your other location,
maybe someday.
I keep shop hours, okay? I can't just fly up to Rochester all the time.
I saw that you went to Canandaigua recently. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, in Seneca Falls. Yeah, okay. I'll have to keep you in mind, maybe closer to the holidays. And
yes.
Okay.
We're a great spot for gifts.
All right. Thank you for that.
We chat about the biz, it is the way it is. Thank you for understanding.
We sincerely thank you for understanding. Please visit us at tyfupod.com to learn more about the show, share prompt ideas, or tell us about your own small business experiences. We may include your story in a future episode. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube at tyfupod or at tyfupod.com. Our theme music was composed by Marilla Gonzalez. The show is produced by Kelly Walker. Too bad for Kelly Walker. Oh, no, wait. No. Edit all this out.